Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. I wanted to talk for a moment about religious dogmas, and I wanted to kind of clarify the word dogma, because it's used a lot today, and people don't, a lot of folks don't seem to have kind of an understanding of what the word really means. Now, to put it in blunt terms, dogmas are parts of a belief system that must be believed unconditionally in order for one to be associated with that particular belief or religion. And the reason why dogmas are so harmful to society as a whole is because what we're doing is taking ideas that we consider true and setting them in the back of our minds as truth and removing all aspects of searching or new ideas that may come to pass. Now, example of this may be the dogmas within particular religions. Say within Christianity, the dogmas vary throughout the different sects of Christianity. Therefore, a dogma for a particular church may be that you have to believe that the earth is 6,000 years old. Now, I've spoken with many Christians who obviously don't believe that. They don't believe that the earth is 6,000 years old because what they've done is they've been able to take the current information and scientific process and incorporate it into their belief system. And in that method, they don't have to go on believing all these half-truths that them in their own minds are unsure about. Meaning that some of these things are people have to convince themselves of. And we all know what I'm talking about here. Like, for example, if you're part of a group and that group believes in a certain behavior is right that you don't agree with, you may be more likely to go with the group just because, well, you don't want to be the one outspoken person in a group of 20 people. I, on the other hand, I am always the outspoken one. I'm always the one that wants to, stir things up, I guess. And that's okay. That's my path. But not to the point where we question every single thing and say, who knows, maybe none of this is illusion. See, people have taken it too far to say, well, we've tied ourselves down with dogmas and none of it's really real and everything's an illusion and everything we see is just, non-existent. And that's not a way to further humanity, regardless of whether we're in a dream or a matrix or if anything's real. These are all just silly little notions that put us into another state of mystery and mystique. What I like to see is people remove these dogmatic beliefs from the actual religions themselves so they can have a legitimate conversation with someone with opposing beliefs, which I don't even like the term opposing beliefs. I just like different beliefs. But unfortunately, many of these beliefs are opposing. Now, one of these examples is how we will, when the information presents itself and we can prove to ourselves that something is not as empirically evident as we can. There's no 100% proof that works for everyone. But for example, the science that we've done shows that the earth is much older than 6,000 years. So what many Christians did at that point was they said, well, okay, so that was symbolism within the Bible. I'm not going to believe that that's literal verbatim. But still, other Christians will still sit and argue by saying they made up stories to cover that notion by saying God put dinosaur bones here to test us and things like that. And what this becomes is this silly circus of people trying to make up stories in order to make their story fit. And so the idea of dogma is nothing more than an unconditional belief system that cannot be changed, that has to be believed in order for you to be a part of that belief system or religion, whatever it may be. And it's not just limited to religion. There's scientific dogma as well. Or if you don't believe in a certain theory, or this is why this happened, or this is why the earth is here, then you don't fit into that scientific paradigm and you're forced out and laughed at. This is where pseudoscience has come from. The term pseudoscience, I hear that a lot, and I think more often than not, pseudoscience is nothing more than science that isn't funded by the proper channels, therefore it's dismissed as a joke. And not always, these tests can't always be repeated 1,000 times, but we do the best we can to take the science that's presented and utilize that as evidence to support our theories or to disprove our theories. But how often do you really get involved in something that disproves what you believe? How often do you look really deep into something that conflicts with your own thoughts? It's not in our nature to hunt out things that conflict with our beliefs. It's in our nature to find things that confirm our beliefs. And that's one thing that I've really stepped away from in the last 10 years, is because I don't go out looking for things that confirm what I believe anymore. I go out looking for things that counter what I believe, things that go against what I've been told. And then I dig deep into the evidence, because I have more of an enjoyment with proving myself wrong than right, because that means that I'm on the right path, because I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong and that I made a mistake. And as long as we have dogmas, they're going to hold us back, because people aren't going to be able to have a discussion with folks who are still wondering or are still asking questions, because these questions are already down pat in a person's mind, and this is the answer. This is why this happens. This is why this happens. And it's funny because many of these dogmas are based on the idea that we want us to be perfect people, that we should excel to be the best people that we can, that we should live in the light of whatever belief one has. But then we look at the characters within the biblical text, let's say. So many mistakes were made. So much hatred, so much wrath, so much murder. But since they're biblical characters, it's considered to be almost an example. That's why I take them as archetypes and allegories. As this is what this person did, this is what you don't want to make this mistake. And this is what happens when you go against this natural law. And so if we take all these things with an open mind, pretend like we're learning them for the first time, rather than letting these thoughts in the back of our mind tell us what's true, the discussions that follow can be much more fruitful, and we can all gain something from them. I'm not going to deny that I gain knowledge from even the most simple people that I've ever met in life, people who have no interest in any of this kind of stuff, who just go day to day. I learned a lot from them, because I see, well, this is a person who has no real goals towards a belief or a religion or even aspirations or excelling in anything. They just want to live their life, and you can learn a lot from just that person. They're living just in the natural law. They're just being a human. And, that's kind of harder to express for me to explain what I'm trying to say there. But I guess what I'm saying is some of the simplest lives out there that I've seen are lived in complete light of God, the way that life isn't meant to be lived. Simple, not taking more than your share, doing your thing, helping your family. And these people are doing it without even knowing they're doing it. They're living with values and integrity that people spend a lifetime searching for without even being aware of it. Now, there's going to be mistakes and things people make in life, and the one thing that those people are missing, I think, is that yearning for knowledge, to know why they do the things they do. So I'm out here looking for the reasons why I do the things I do, and some people just do them. And so I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad to me. It's all in the eye of the beholder. I've had people, people think a lot less of me when I've told them that I don't really believe in good or evil, in the sense that it can be written down on a piece of paper that this is good, this is evil. You can put out a particular situation to say it's bad, but you can't say killing is wrong. I mean, that's one of the statements I always use. People say, well, if you kill someone, it's wrong. But what if they're trying to kill you? Or what if they're killing your family? What if you find somebody's attacking your wife or your children, and you have no choice? And I've presented that to people, and they say, well, no, my dogma tells me that it's wrong. It doesn't matter if or why. They say it's God's will, and if my family's going to die, then my family's going to die. Now, look, I'm sorry, I'm a peaceful person, but if somebody's stepping up on my family and I'm feeling my life is endangered, it's over for them. I mean, I'm not going to stand there and let myself be mutilated. I wouldn't say that's That's only God's will, as the sense that you are the God in that sense. You're allowing it. It's your will. You're allowing it to happen. So what I'm trying to say is that not even murder or violence can be really rooted down into a good or bad format. And dogmas are designed to show us what's right and what's wrong. And this is why we do this, and this is why we do this. But you find that most of the violence in history is usually to stand up for one's beliefs or what one thinks that he owns or deserves. So it's a vast complex system that we live in. And I haven't even scratched the surface of why things happen the way they do. You can spend your entire lifetime looking and never scratch the surface. So each one of us is on our own to discover these things for ourselves. But I think we need to let that whole dogmatic side of everything go. You don't have to be a lesser Christian. To my Christian friends, you don't have to not be a Christian and just because you don't believe what all the other Christians believe. You know, in my eyes, a person could take a Bible that's never heard a single word of Christianity, read the whole Bible, devise their own opinions on what the Bible means, and be just as right as the next man. Because nobody has a say. There's no pastor. There's no pope. The pope does not have authority to tell you. He gave himself authority. All of these pastors and preachers gave themselves authority to tell you what these things mean. And the reason why I always revert back to Christianity is because it has such a large following of people who go in to a church, listen to what the pastor says, and consider that his lesson for the week. And that's just not how things should be. All of these things need to be constantly looked upon by the individual. So each person has to put their own mind and heart into it and dig for themselves, because it's not fair to the rest of the world when one group thinks that they have the answers, but they're not willing to look beyond their own thoughts, because that's unjust. That's not fair to a person who has spent the time searching to try to find themselves through the right paths, if that's even the right path. And I'm not one to say what's right or wrong. But as long as it's inclusive and you're not excluding anyone, I guess that it's a legitimate feeling to have. Each person can have their own. But I think eliminating dogmas would change a lot of the problems that we have facing us as a society. So, namaste, everybody.